In the late 1980s, the world believed the supercar had reached its peak. Ferrari ruled with the legendary F40. Lamborghini stunned the world with the Countach. Porsche continued to refine speed through engineering. Every major manufacturer seemed locked in a race to build the fastest, most desirable machine on Earth. But hidden behind the headlines, one man believed the industry had become too predictable. His name was Claudio Zampoli, an Italian engineer and former Lamborghini test driver. Zampoli had spent years working alongside some of the greatest minds in automotive history. He knew how the world's best supercars were built, and he believed he could build something even more extraordinary. While most companies focused on improving existing designs, Zampoli imagined a car that would ignore convention completely. Not a V8, not a V10, not even a V12. He wanted to create a road-going supercar powered by a V16 engine, a configuration almost no manufacturer had seriously attempted for a production car. It sounded impossible. A 16-cylinder engine would be larger, heavier, more complex, and dramatically more expensive to build than anything offered by Ferrari or Lamborghini. Investors were skeptical. Industry experts dismissed the idea as unrealistic. Many believed the project would never leave the drawing board, but Zampoli refused to compromise. If he was going to challenge the biggest names in Italy, he wouldn't build an ordinary supercar. He would build something the automotive world had never seen before. To turn that dream into reality, he needed more than engineering talent. He needed one of the greatest automotive designers of all time. That decision would shape the future of the project and give birth to one of the most beautiful forgotten supercars ever created. In the next chapter, a legendary designer joins the mission, and together, they begin creating a machine unlike anything the world had ever imagined. Claudio Zampoli had a bold vision, but even the most powerful engine in the world meant nothing if the car didn't capture people's imagination. To compete with Ferrari and Lamborghini, he needed a design that would stop traffic before the engine even started. There was only one man capable of creating such a masterpiece: Marcello Gandini. By the late 1980s, Gandini was already a legend in the automotive world. He had designed icons like the Lamborghini Miura, Countach, and Lancia Stratos, cars that redefined what a supercar could look like. When Zampoli approached him with the idea of building a V16-powered supercar, Gandini saw an opportunity to create something truly extraordinary. His first sketches were unlike anything on the road. The car sat impossibly low, with sharp wedge-shaped lines, dramatic side air intakes, and a wide, aggressive stance. Every curve had a purpose. Every angle was designed to channel air, improve stability, and make the car appear fast, even standing still. One of its most distinctive features was a pair of twin pop-up headlights on each side. Instead of the usual single headlight assembly, the car featured 4 pop-up headlights, giving it a futuristic appearance unlike any other production supercar of its era. Behind the cabin, the massive V16 engine demanded an entirely unique layout. The engine was so wide that engineers mounted it transversely, with the gearbox positioned separately to fit everything into the chassis. It was an engineering solution almost no other manufacturer would dare attempt. Inside, luxury matched performance. Hand-stitched leather covered the seats and dashboard, while polished aluminum controls reminded drivers they were sitting in something built by craftsmen, not mass-production robots. Every panel was assembled with incredible attention to detail. Every component reflected the ambition of a company determined to challenge the giants of the automotive world. When the first prototype was finally revealed, journalists couldn't believe what they were seeing. It looked like the future. Many believed it was about to become the next great Italian supercar. But appearances can be deceiving, because beneath that breathtaking body was one of the most complicated engines ever fitted to a road car, and building it would become the project's greatest challenge. In the next chapter, we'll uncover the incredible V16 engine that made this forgotten supercar one of the most ambitious engineering projects in automotive history. The soul of every great supercar is its engine. For Ferrari, it was the V12. For Porsche, the flat six. For Lamborghini, raw Italian power. But Claudio Zampoli wanted something the automotive world had never truly seen on the road: a naturally aspirated V16. At first glance, it sounded almost impossible. Instead of developing an entirely new engine from scratch, Zampoli's engineering team took a bold approach. They effectively combined the architecture of two V8 engines into a single 16-cylinder power plant, creating one of the most unusual engines ever fitted to a production supercar. The result was a 6.0-liter, 16-cylinder engine, producing around 540 horsepower and over 400 pound-feet of torque. Those numbers were astonishing for the late 1980s. With a screaming red line and instant throttle response, the V16 delivered power with incredible smoothness. Unlike many high-performance engines of its era, it didn't just feel fast, it felt effortless. But this masterpiece came with a price. The engine was enormous. It was too wide to fit in the traditional layout used by Ferrari or Lamborghini. Engineers solved the problem by mounting it transversely behind the cabin, while placing the transmission separately. It was an incredibly complex arrangement that required countless hours of engineering and precision manufacturing. Cooling the giant engine was another challenge. Massive air intakes fed radiators designed to keep 16 cylinders under control. Every vent, every duct, and every opening in the body served a purpose. When testing finally began, the results were remarkable. The Cizeta V16T could accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour in about 4 seconds and reach a top speed of nearly 204 miles per hour. That placed it among the fastest road cars on the planet. Journalists praised its incredible stability, breathtaking acceleration, and unforgettable engine sound. The V16 didn't simply roar. It produced a rich, mechanical symphony, unlike anything from a V8 or V12, a sound that became the car's signature. Yet while the engineering team celebrated their achievement, another problem was quietly growing. Building such a complicated machine wasn't just difficult. It was unbelievably expensive. Every engine required skilled craftsmen, specialized parts, and hundreds of hours of assembly. The dream was becoming reality. But financially, the project was heading toward disaster. In the next chapter, we'll discover why one of the greatest supercars ever built failed to find buyers, and how timing became its greatest enemy. By the early 1990s, the Cizeta V16T was finally ready. Years of engineering, millions of dollars, and countless hours of craftsmanship had created one of the most ambitious supercars the world had ever seen. Everything seemed to be falling into place. Then, the world changed. In 1990, the global economy entered a recession. Luxury spending slowed dramatically, and the market for ultra-expensive exotic cars almost disappeared overnight. For a small company like Cizeta, the timing couldn't have been worse. The V16T wasn't just expensive. It was one of the most expensive production cars in the world, carrying a price tag of around $650,000 at launch, more than many Ferraris and Lamborghinis of the time. Very few buyers were willing to take such a risk on an unknown manufacturer. Most wealthy collectors chose brands they already trusted. Ferrari had decades of racing success. Lamborghini had built an unmistakable reputation. Porsche was known for reliability and engineering. Cizeta had something extraordinary, but it had no history. As production continued, another problem became impossible to ignore. Every V16T was built almost entirely by hand. The complex 16-cylinder engine required precision assembly. The bespoke chassis demanded hours of skilled craftsmanship. The luxurious interior was finished piece by piece. Each car took months to complete. The cost of building every V16T was incredibly high, leaving almost no room for profit. Then came another devastating blow. One of the company's most important financial backers stepped away from the project. Without the funding needed to sustain production, Cizeta's future became uncertain. Orders slowed. Cash flow disappeared. The dream that had once challenged Ferrari was now fighting simply to survive. Production nearly stopped. Only a handful of cars left the factory. What was meant to become Italy's next great supercar had quietly become one of the rarest automobiles ever built. Most people never even knew it existed. But sometimes, failure creates something even more valuable than success. Because decades later, collectors would begin searching for the very cars nobody wanted. And suddenly, the forgotten supercar was becoming a legend. In the next chapter, we'll discover how the Cizeta V16T transformed from a commercial disaster into one of the rarest collector cars on Earth. For years, the Cizeta V16T was almost forgotten. While Ferrari, Lamborghini, and Porsche filled magazine covers and museum collections, the V16T quietly disappeared from public view. Many people assumed the company had simply vanished. But the cars themselves never disappeared. Because so few were built, every surviving Cizeta became something incredibly rare. Unlike modern supercars produced in the thousands, the V16T was created in extremely limited numbers. Collectors began to notice. They realized this wasn't just another exotic car. It represented one man's impossible dream, a supercar built without compromise, powered by one of the most extraordinary engines ever installed in a road car. As the years passed, values slowly began to climb. Automotive historians praised its engineering. Design experts admired Marcello Gandini's unmistakable styling. Enthusiasts celebrated the unforgettable sound of the naturally aspirated V16. Suddenly, the car that almost nobody wanted had become one of the rarest prizes in the collector world. Whenever a Cizeta V16T appeared at a major auction or private sale, it attracted worldwide attention. Not because it wore a Ferrari badge, not because it carried Lamborghini's famous name, but because it was something far more unusual. It was one of the last truly independent supercars, a machine built by passion instead of corporate strategy. Today, every surviving example is treated like a work of automotive art. Owners carefully preserve them. Museums proudly display them. Collectors spend years searching for the chance to buy one. Some examples have sold for well over $1 million, while experts believe pristine, low-mileage cars could become even more valuable as their rarity and historical significance continue to grow. The Cizeta V16T may never have conquered the supercar market, but it achieved something even fewer cars ever accomplish. It became a legend, a reminder that greatness isn't always measured by sales. Sometimes, history simply takes time to recognize genius. In the final chapter, we'll explore the lasting legacy of the Cizeta V16T and why this forgotten masterpiece continues to inspire engineers, designers, and collectors around the world. The Cizeta V16T never became a commercial success. It never outsold Ferrari. It never challenged Lamborghini in the marketplace. And it never built the global reputation its creators had dreamed of. By every business measure, the project failed. But history doesn't always remember the cars that sold the most. Sometimes, it remembers the cars that dared to do what nobody else would. The Cizeta V16T was one of the last supercars created without corporate committees, marketing departments, or financial shareholders controlling every decision. It was built from one man's belief that passion could overcome impossibility. Even today, more than 3 decades after its debut, the V16T remains one of the few production cars ever powered by a naturally aspirated V16 engine. That alone makes it a milestone in automotive engineering. Its dramatic wedge-shaped design has aged remarkably well. Many enthusiasts still mistake it for a modern hypercar, despite being designed in the late 1980s. Its handcrafted construction reminds us of a time when skilled craftsmen, not robots, built some of the world's most extraordinary machines. Today, surviving examples are scattered across private collections and museums around the world. Each one represents a piece of automotive history that can never be recreated, because the tools, the factory, and the people who built them are all part of a chapter that has already closed. For collectors, owning a Cizeta V16T isn't simply about speed. It's about preserving one of the boldest engineering experiments ever attempted. For engineers, it proves that innovation often begins with impossible ideas. And for enthusiasts, it remains a symbol of what happens when passion is allowed to lead without compromise. The Cizeta V16T may have been forgotten by the market, but it will never be forgotten by history. Its story reminds us that true legends aren't always the ones with the biggest sales numbers. Sometimes, they're the ones brave enough to challenge the impossible. And that's why this forgotten supercar may always deserve to be worth millions. When the Cizeta V16T first appeared, few people believed it had a future. It was too expensive, too ambitious, too different. For years, it remained one of the automotive world's best-kept secrets. But collector markets have a habit of rewriting history. Today, some of the world's most valuable cars have one thing in common. They are rare. They have an unforgettable story. And they represent a moment in history that can never be repeated. The Cizeta V16T checks every one of those boxes. Its production numbers were incredibly low. Its naturally aspirated V16 engine has never been successfully repeated in another mainstream production supercar. Its design came from one of Italy's greatest automotive designers, and its story is unlike any other. As younger collectors enter the market, demand is shifting. They're no longer interested only in the most famous Ferraris or Lamborghinis. They're searching for hidden masterpieces, cars with unique engineering, fascinating histories, and extreme rarity. That change is bringing renewed attention to the Cizeta V16T. Experts often describe it as one of the most overlooked supercars ever created. Every time one appears for sale, enthusiasts around the world stop to watch. Not just because of its price, but because opportunities to own one are incredibly rare. So, could a perfect, low-mileage Cizeta V16T someday be worth $10 million? No one can know for certain. Collector car values depend on many factors: condition, originality, provenance, market demand, and the broader economy. But one thing is beyond debate. The Cizeta V16T has already achieved something priceless. It transformed from a forgotten failure into an automotive icon admired by collectors, engineers, and enthusiasts across the world. Its journey proves that true greatness isn't always recognized immediately. Sometimes, history simply needs time to catch up. And perhaps the greatest victory of all is that the world finally remembers the supercar it once forgot. Every great automobile tells a story. Some stories are written in championship trophies. Some are written in sales records. And some are written in courage. The Cizeta V16T never became a household name. It never dominated racetracks around the world. It never rolled off production lines by the thousands. Yet somehow, it achieved something even more remarkable. It became unforgettable. More than 30 years after its debut, the V16T still stops people in their tracks. Its impossibly wide stance, its razor-sharp Italian styling, its handcrafted aluminum body, and hidden behind the driver, one of the most extraordinary engines ever installed in a road car. The naturally aspirated V16 remains a symbol of an era when engineers were willing to chase impossible ideas, not because they were easy, but because they believed they could be done. Today, every surviving Cizeta V16T is more than just a rare automobile. It is a time capsule, a reminder of what happens when passion is allowed to lead innovation. Collectors treasure it. Museums preserve it. Automotive enthusiasts celebrate it. Not because it was perfect, but because it dared to be different. Its journey, from an ambitious dream to a commercial failure to one of the world's most admired collector cars, is proof that true greatness is not always recognized in its own time. Sometimes, history needs decades to reveal the real value of a masterpiece. The Cizeta V16T may have been forgotten by the market, but it earned something far more important: respect. Because in a world where many supercars followed the rules, the Cizeta created its own. and perhaps that's why its legacy continues to grow with every passing year. Not as the car that failed, but as the supercar that refused to be forgotten. Thank you for joining us on this journey through one of the most fascinating stories in automotive history. If you enjoyed this documentary, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments, which forgotten supercar should we uncover next? Until then, keep your passion for cars alive. We'll see you in the next documentary.